We just want to take you to the COSATU National Day of Action, at least the Cape Town leg of it. We can see there they've reached their destination marches there, and they're now handing over a memorandum. Those are visuals on the left-hand side of your screen. Perhaps we can just listen in to, for you, get you a sense of what's being said as that march seemingly reaches its end.
Raise the issue of unemployment, low levels of job creation and retrenchment, and our demands are the following. We demand that government and employers place a moratorium on retrenchments. Employers abide by the commitment made in 2018 Presidential Job Summit to do everything possible to avoid retrenchments and to implement alternatives to job losses. Government and employers withdraw the demands that they made and neglect to make it easier to dismiss and retrench workers. The Department of Employment and Labour urgently fix turf so that it's less bureaucratic and more responsive to assisting workers and companies in distress. And decent work. Today, the 7th of October, is International Day of Decent Work and International Working Class Solidarity. Labour in South Africa faces unprecedented attacks on collective bargaining by both the public and private sector. Employers from both the public and private sector flout labour law, in many instances refusing to negotiate with labour and refusing to implement collective agreements. COSATU therefore demands government and employers pay workers' salaries and wages when they are due. Government and employers immediately paid any unpaid UIF, retirement funds, medical aids, and any other contributions from third parties. Government must stop with immediate effect labour brokering, casualisation, outsourcing, and exploitative on-call work. On austerity and privatisation, COSATU rejects government's continued push for austerity and privatisation. The current phase of austerity, the period 2023 to 2026, is the largest expenditure reduction in South Africa's history.
All right, so that's just a sense of what's taking place on the left-hand side on your screen there. In Cape Town, the COSATU National Day of Action culminating in the Cape Town CBD. On stage there, I imagine the Labour Federation's leaders. Joining them there, it seems like Western Cape Economic Development MEC David Mania, who I imagine is just listening in to those demands before receiving the memorandum. On your right-hand side of the screen there is much of the same in KwaZulu-Natal, a much bigger crowd, dare I say, and it seems they are still marching to their final destination for the day. But even though these marches have taken on a different nature, so to speak, the demands are all the same. Really, workers calling for an improvement in their conditions, a moratorium on retrenchments, for something to be done in order to protect some of the most vulnerable workers in the country who are still underpaid, as it were, at least even below the minimum wage, which has been the threshold set legally by the country's government. And so much of this is going to unfold for the rest of the day as we see a whole lot more marchers get to their own destination. We're watching the story from Cape Town to Durban and Bloemfontein and many other places, including Mpumalanga as well in Komatipoort. COSATU saying that they typically leave the 7th of October to raise their concerns, even though it might raise questions, of course, about how effective all of this is. If you're going to embark on a similar march every year around the same things, it almost seems like their concerns are falling on deaf ears. I imagine at some stage there's going to be much more of a consolidated response from the government, who of course will be at pains to explain that they're trying different interventions in order to ensure, of course, that they shift the dial, as it were, around the plight of workers in the country. It's a story sharply on our radar, and as you can see there, we're watching it from a number of vantage points here on the SABC.